And welcome back, everybody, to Comic Frontline. I am Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzogoose, back with you for another comic review. This time we're talking Tekken #1 from Titan Comics. Brand new comic series based on this fighting franchise, written by Kevin Scott with art by Andy Tong, and a bunch of variant covers and so on and so forth. You guys can read the credits when you read the book. Now, before I get into the actual book, let's talk about fighting games, because we've seen a lot of adaptations of fighting games into other media, whether it be anime, live action movies, comics, what have you. And not all of them, in fact, most of them are done poorly. Let's be honest. So, my history with fighting games, I played them all. Back in the day, I was a fighting game junkie, like most people in my era and my age range. Back in the day, I played your Street Fighter and your Mortal Kombat. I even played Fatal Fury and King of Fighters and Virtua Fighter and Soul Calibur and all these various fighting games. I ate them up. It was just what you did. You get friends over, and that's the best way to pass time. I don't play a lot of them now. I love Injustice, and I play some of the Marvel Capcom stuff. Mortal Kombat when I can, and Tekken. I love Tekken, but I don't think I've actually played a Tekken game since maybe I don't even know if it was Tekken Tag. I think I played one or two after that. I don't remember, honestly. It's been a long time. I'll be perfectly honest. But the weird thing is, and you guys that have been watching me for a long time know, I used to actually have a Jin Kazama poster in my background, and I'm a big Tekken fan, even though I haven't played the games for a long time. I'm a big Tekken fan. Of the fighting franchises, it's actually my favorite. Street Fighter, I really liked, back in the day, and, I watched the cartoon and the movie. The movie sucked. But, I played the game. But Street Fighter, even though it does have some serious stuff in some of the anime with Ryu and Ken, it is still more cartoony, more over the top. That's just the way it is. Virtua Fighter was just not as good. King of Fighters was decent, but again, it had that anime feel to it. Not anime, animation feel to it. Totally different thing. Soul Calibur I only played once. My roommate at the time had a Dreamcast, and I played it on there. And it was a little bit more up my alley, but then it was like, well, I could just play Tekken. And I don't know what it is, if it's the dark and gritty nature of it, if it's the supernatural elements of it, or what. But there's something about the Tekken characters and the Tekken story that have always appealed to me, and especially Jin and the fire, outfits that he has. I've seen the cartoons, the movies, whatever, the live action movie of Tekken, all this stuff. So I'm a Tekken fan. So I was very hesitant to go into this because we've seen recent comics of Street Fighter vs. G.I. Joe. We've seen Mortal Kombat, and none of them were quite up to par for me. As a translation from the video game. And Tekken is unique in the fact that it is it's kind of family oriented. You have the Mishima slash Kazama, or not Kazama, Kazama family, and they are at the center of everything, and everything kind of flows out of that, and it's very interesting that way. So this book, it's what's happening in the present. It doesn't take you all the way back to the origin, but what it does, it has a very nice recap in the very front of the book. It's called Story So Far, and it's a paragraph telling you exactly what has happened, the important parts, exactly what has happened specifically with the Mishima family that leads up to this point. Now Jin is missing. His father is secretly the head of the G Corporation, and Hayachi has taken over the Mishima company, and Jin is in hiding. Nobody knows what's happened to him, and so this story is about the G Corporation trying to find Jin, and like I said, the G Corporation is secretly led by Jin's father. That comes out pretty early on in the issue. So really quickly you get all these characters that spring up because they're caught in the middle of this conflict. You have Ling Zhao, I think is how you say. I'm not sure if I'm mispronouncing that. I apologize. But you have her and her panda being accosted by Anna, who is working for the G Corporation and trying to find Jin, and then Nina, which is Anna's sister, comes in, and Nina is an assassin, but she's there to protect. And then you got Paul that comes in, and then they meet up with some other characters. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's very interesting how this all plays out, and it's actually a very good read. It's everything makes sense. The roles of these characters in this story make sense, as opposed to being forced into these roles to make them fit and give them appearances in the book. It just flowed really nicely. It was very well written. The art is okay. The art is good. Don't get me wrong. I like the art. I think the coloring and inking styles for this book could have been better a different way. They weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think given the Tekken franchise and the way that it is always translated in the video games, how it's very hyper realistic. Even going back to the early ones, it was as realistic as technology would allow back then, and it still is. I think the art here could have, specifically the inking and the coloring, could have been polished a little bit more to give it that vibe, to give it that feel. But they weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. All the action scenes were fantastic. You had explosions and powers coming out, and all this stuff. The characters and what you were trying to focus on never got lost within the scenes. You knew what was going on. You could follow it, even though there was a lot going on. And like I said, the introduction of each of these characters made sense. It flowed nicely, and then you get left with a nice cliffhanger going into the next issue. And this is a 4-issue miniseries, so it's going to move pretty quickly. So I appreciated this. I thought this was a very good adaptation of a video game. I thought it was a fantastic story just as a comic. Like I said, art-wise, line work, really well done. Inks were a little bit scratchy for me, and the colors probably didn't pop as much as I would have liked to see in a Tekken book. So just little nitpicky stuff. But if you're a fan of this franchise, or you just like to read a good action comic, you're gonna like this. This was just a good comic, solid. Hats off. Well, I'm not actually gonna take it off, but hats off to Titan for that. And like I said, I recommend this book. I'm gonna give it 4 1/4. Like I said, I gotta take some marks off for my nitpicks, but that's just my opinion. I thought it was a high mark book, and I cannot wait for the very next issue. I wish I had it right now. So there you go. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna move it up to 4.5. 4.5 stars for Tekken #1 from Titan Comics. Congrats, Titan. You got a winner on your hands, in my opinion. So there you go. So let me know what you thought of this book in the comments below, and if you disagree with me, if you're more up to date on the video game and anything doesn't jive well with you from this book, let me know, because I don't know. I'm going off what I read here, and I would love to hear your thoughts on how it matches up with the current, the latest video game in the Tekken franchise. But I just think that it was a good book. It's 4.5 stars, and with me, 4.5 stars. That kicks it up pretty high on my ranking list, so we'll see what happens come next Tuesday. But check out all the other content here. I will actually have at least one more review up this week, Black Bolt, and possibly one other on this channel. And then over on my channel, I'm going to review Batman #22, because somebody else, I think Mike Spider Slayer, is going to review it on here. So I'm going to review it over there and just continue reviewing the whole Button story over there, because that'll be part 3, so why not? I'll just finish it. So you can check that out on my channel, youtube.com/BrantFowler, and of course you can find me on LastTimeToPress.com, Zone4Podcast.com, youtube.com/WhatTheCard, and of course right here on Comic Frontline. So until next time, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.